Welcome to English Exam Essentials. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. It's time to test your IELTS listening skills. Get ready to train your ears and boost your band score. In this video, you'll go through a full IELTS listening practice test with real exam-style questions. Grab your notebook or answer sheet. Make sure you're in a quiet place, just like on test day. The audio will play only once, so listen carefully.
This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now, turn to Part 1. Part 1. You will hear a student, Maria, call a travel agency to book a holiday tour package. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good afternoon, Horizon Travel Agency. This is James speaking. How can I help you today?
Hello, I'd like to book a holiday package for next month. A friend of mine recommended your agency and spoke very highly of your services, so I wanted to ask about the available options.
Certainly. We have several tours to Spain. May I have your name, please?
Sure, it's Maria Gonzalez.
Thank you, Miss Gonzalez. And could I have a contact number in case we need to reach you?
Yes, it's 07984263119.
Perfect. And just to confirm, are you traveling alone or with someone else?
It will just be me travelling this time. I'm currently studying here in London, so I'll be departing from the UK. Since I'll be arranging everything on my own, I'd like to know the best options available for a single traveller.
Great. May I ask what dates you're planning to travel?
I'm hoping to leave around the 12th of June and stay for about 10 days.
All right. Let me take a quick look at the schedule. Yes, we do have a guided tour that begins on the 13th of June, which matches your preferred dates quite well. For that period, we actually have 2 options available. The first is a small group package, limited to just 20 people, which creates a more personal atmosphere and allows the guide to give more attention to each traveller. The second option is a larger group tour, accommodating up to 45 participants. This one tends to be livelier and is a bit more budget-friendly, though naturally it feels a little less intimate than the smaller group experience.
I think I'd prefer the small group package. Since it's just me travelling, I'd like the experience to feel more personal, and having fewer people around sounds much more comfortable. How much will it cost?
The standard price is £1,250, but we're offering a student discount of 15%. You'll need to show your student ID when you book.
Oh, that's helpful. What does the package include?
It covers flights from London, hotel accommodation, with breakfast, and daily sightseeing tours. Lunch and dinner are not included, but the hotels are close to local restaurants.
I see. What about transport in Spain?
Transportation within Spain is included. You'll have a private coach for the group, and sometimes train rides for longer distances.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 7 to 10.
Great. Could you tell me about the hotels? And what about excursions?
Of course, for the first 3 nights you'll stay in Barcelona at the Sunrise Hotel. It's a 3-star hotel near the beach, and it has a rooftop pool and internet access at no charge. Many guests say the breakfast buffet is excellent, especially the fresh fruit. In Barcelona, you'll visit Gaudi's famous Sagrada Familia Cathedral and also take a walking tour of the Gothic Quarter, which includes stops at some local cafes. On the second evening, the group usually has free time, so you can explore the harbour or do some shopping.
That sounds really nice.
After that, you'll travel to Madrid, where you'll spend 4 nights at the Central Park Hotel. This one is 4-star, right in the city centre, so you can walk to most of the attractions. The hotel is modern, with air-conditioned rooms and a gym for guests. The highlight in Madrid is a guided visit to the Prado Museum, one of the most famous art museums in the world. There's also an evening of flamenco dancing, which includes dinner and a short workshop where you can try a few steps yourself.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Finally, you'll spend 3 nights in Seville, staying at the Garden Palace Hotel. It's a more traditional place, decorated in a classic Spanish style, and it has a beautiful rooftop terrace with views of the cathedral. The main excursions in Seville are a river cruise along the Guadalquivir River and a visit to the Royal Alcazar Palace, which is well known for its gardens. On your last evening, the group usually shares a farewell dinner at a local restaurant with traditional Andalusian food.
Wow, that's a lot to look forward to. How do I make a booking?
You'll need to complete our online form and pay a deposit of £200. The rest can be paid up to 2 weeks before departure. I'll email you the details, and you can confirm your booking online.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your help.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 1. Now, turn to Part 2. Part 2. You will hear a manager giving information about the facilities and services available in a community sports centre. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Greenfield Community Sports Centre. My name is Claire, I'm the manager here, and before you begin your tour, I'll give you a fairly detailed overview of our facilities and services. This way you'll know what to look out for and, hopefully, avoid a few common misunderstandings that sometimes confuse new members. Let's begin with the swimming pool. It's one of our most popular features, and it's open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day, except on Tuesdays when we close an hour earlier for deep cleaning. Now, you may still come across some of our older leaflets that say 7 p.m., but that information is outdated, so please make a note of the correct time. Now, moving upstairs to the gym. This is on the second floor, just above the reception area. The gym is fully equipped with both cardio and strength training machines, and we update the equipment regularly. All new members are required to attend a short safety induction before using the gym. It's about 20 minutes long, and while some people worry it costs extra, I can assure you it's completely free. It's mainly to show you how to use the machines correctly and avoid injuries. Next, we have the indoor courts. These are multi-purpose spaces that can be booked for badminton, basketball, or table tennis. They are in high demand, especially on Saturday and Sunday afternoons, so if you're planning to come then, you should book in advance. Weekday mornings, by contrast, are usually very quiet. Some visitors assume Tuesdays are the busiest, but in fact that's one of the calmer days, so you might want to take advantage of that if your schedule allows. As for memberships, we try to keep things straightforward. The standard adult membership is £25 per month. If you're signing up as a family, it's £40 per month and covers up to 4 people, not 5, as some people mistakenly believe. For those interested only in gym facilities, we also offer a gym-only pass for £15 per month. Occasionally, people ask about one-off day passes. Those are available too, though they're slightly more expensive if purchased at the reception desk rather than online.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 15 to 20.
In addition to the main facilities, we also offer a number of weekly classes and activities, so members can choose what suits them best. On Monday evenings, we hold a yoga class. This class is open to complete beginners, but some more advanced members also like to join to practice their techniques. The focus is on stretching, breathing, and relaxation. It's not competitive, and it doesn't require strong physical ability. Some people expect a very tough workout, but in fact it's calm and gentle, making it a good way to reduce stress after a long day. On Wednesday afternoons, there's a spinning class. This is an indoor cycling session using stationary bikes, and it's one of the more energetic activities here. People sometimes confuse it with our Saturday cycling club, which takes place outside along the riverside path. But the Wednesday class is strictly indoors, with music playing to keep everyone motivated. The instructor adjusts the speed and resistance to suit different levels, but it's still quite intense and is excellent for building stamina and strength. New members often think it's a casual ride, but most are surprised at how challenging it can be. On Friday mornings, we run a swimming session, especially for seniors. The main aim is gentle exercise with a focus on mobility, balance, and joint health. It's ideal for older adults or anyone recovering from injuries. The pace is very relaxed, and the instructors are trained to support those who need a bit of extra help in the water. Some newcomers mistakenly arrive expecting an aqua aerobics class, but that's actually held on Thursdays, not Fridays. Aqua aerobics involves music and more vigorous exercise in the pool, while the seniors' swim is calm and low impact. Finally, on Saturday mornings, we have the Family Sports Club, one of our busiest and most enjoyable sessions. Parents and children can try different games together, such as short tennis, dodgeball, and relay races. The aim is not to win or compete, but to spend time together in a fun and active way. The atmosphere is always lively, and it's a great way for families to bond while being active.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 2. Now turn to Part 3. Part 3. You will hear two agriculture students, Sarah and Daniel, preparing their group project. They interviewed local farmers and are now discussing what they learned. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
So let's go through exactly what the farmers explained about how they produce biogas.
Sure. They all began with the same step. The manure from cows, pigs, or even chickens is gathered on a daily basis. Instead of leaving it to build up in open piles, which would smell bad and attract flies, they transfer it straight into large sealed tanks. The farmers referred to these as digesters.
Right, and they said the tanks are completely airtight. That's really important because the process depends on bacteria working in an oxygen-free environment. One farmer mentioned that if air gets in, the gas production slows down and the bacteria can't do their job properly.
Once the waste is inside, the bacteria start breaking down the organic matter. The farmers told us that the breakdown takes place gradually over a period of several weeks. They added that the speed of the process can vary depending on the weather. Warmer temperatures make the bacteria more active, while colder conditions slow everything down.
Yes, and the interesting part is what comes out of this process. As the waste is digested, it produces a gas. The farmers were clear that the main component is methane, which is actually quite harmful if it escapes into the air because it contributes to global warming. But here, instead of letting it leak out, they capture it through pipes that run from the top of the digester into storage containers.
And then they put that gas to really practical use. Several farms said they burn the methane to generate electricity. On one farm, the power was enough to run water pumps for irrigation, keep the lights on in the barns, and even power small refrigeration units for storing milk.
Another farmer explained that he connects the gas supply to his household kitchen. His family uses it for cooking, which means they don't need to buy as many bottled gas cylinders or chop down firewood. He pointed out that this not only saves money, but also reduces deforestation.
So, the process works in a very complete cycle. What impressed me is that very little is wasted. Everything is put to good use.
Exactly. And the farmers seemed really proud of it. One of them actually called it turning waste into wealth because they're not just solving the problem of manure disposal. They're also creating energy for both farm work and household needs while helping the environment at the same time.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 27 to 30.
Okay, so that's biogas. Now, moving on, some of the farmers also talked about producing fertilizers in other ways.
Right. The most common one they mentioned was composting. They said they collect manure and combine it with crop residues like straw, corn stalks, or even dried leaves. Then they leave the mixture to decompose in piles. Over time, it breaks down and turns into a dark, soil-like material that's full of nutrients.
Yes, but they stress that composting has to be managed carefully. If the pile isn't turned regularly, air doesn't circulate, and then it starts to smell bad. It can even release harmful gases if the decomposition isn't balanced.
Exactly. But when it's done properly, it produces a very stable fertilizer. The farmers told us that it helps improve the structure of the soil, makes it hold water better, and increases crop yields. One farmer even said he's now buying far less chemical fertilizer than before, which saves him money every season.
Another technique they described was waste separation. They divide the manure into solid and liquid parts. The solids are sometimes dried and pressed into pellets, which makes them much easier to store, transport, and even sell at the market as organic fertilizer.
And the liquid fraction doesn't go to waste either. Farmers said they treat it to remove harmful substances and then spray it on their fields as a kind of liquid fertilizer. That way, they recycle nutrients without causing too much water pollution.
A few farmers also mentioned something more experimental, using small amounts of animal waste in fish ponds. The idea is that the waste supports the growth of plankton, which in turn feeds the fish.
Yeah, but they admitted that this method has to be handled very carefully. If too much waste goes in, the water quality drops, oxygen levels fall, and the fish can die.
Right. So overall, what we learned is that animal waste can be turned into a valuable resource in several different ways.
That is the end of Part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 3. Now turn to Part 4. Part 4. You will hear a lecture about the history and impact of coffee. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to explore the history of coffee and its influence on culture, trade, and modern society. Coffee is often thought of as a simple daily drink, but if we dig deeper, we find a fascinating story that stretches across centuries and continents. Let's begin with its origins. Most evidence suggests that coffee plants were first discovered in Ethiopia, in East Africa. According to legend, a goat herder named Kaldi noticed his animals becoming unusually energetic after eating the berries of a certain plant. While this story may be exaggerated, it reflects how people began experimenting with coffee beans, initially chewing them rather than brewing them into a drink. Later, people discovered that roasting and boiling the beans produced a stronger, more enjoyable flavour, and this method gradually became the standard way of preparing coffee. From Ethiopia, coffee spread northwards to Yemen in the 15th century, where Sufi monks prepared it as a beverage to help them stay awake during long hours of prayer and meditation. Yemen became the first region to cultivate coffee systematically, and the port of Mocha soon turned into the world's earliest coffee trading hub. You might recognise the name Mocha from your local cafe menu. It originates directly from this Yemeni port. Coffee had reached Persia, Egypt, and the Ottoman Empire, where it was welcomed as a stimulating alternative to alcohol, which was forbidden by Islamic law. Now, moving forward to the 16th and 17th centuries, coffee houses began appearing in the Middle East and later in Europe. These establishments were not just places to drink coffee, but also centres of social life, where people gathered to exchange news, discuss politics, and share ideas. In fact, in England, coffee houses were sometimes called penny universities, because for the price of a single penny, one could buy a cup of coffee and join lively debates, gaining knowledge equivalent to a university lecture. Some governments, however, were suspicious of coffee houses, fearing they encouraged political unrest. In the 17th century, for example, King Charles II of England even attempted to shut them down, though he was forced to withdraw the ban after public protest. Of course, coffee's growing popularity also had economic consequences. By the 18th century, European colonial powers established vast coffee plantations in the Caribbean, South America, and Southeast Asia. Unfortunately, this expansion was closely tied to the use of enslaved labour, especially in Brazil and the Caribbean islands. Brazil, in particular, became the world's largest coffee producer, a position it still holds today. In fact, during the 19th century, coffee exports from Brazil accounted for nearly half of the world's supply, shaping not only its economy, but also its international relations. So, what about modern times? Well, coffee has transformed into a global industry worth billions of dollars annually. In addition to traditional coffee farming, we now have multinational chains like Starbucks and Costa Coffee shaping consumer habits worldwide. At the same time, there's increasing awareness about sustainability and fair trade. Organisations encourage consumers to buy coffee that ensures fair wages for farmers and promotes environmentally friendly farming practices. Climate change is also an emerging challenge, since rising temperatures and unpredictable rainfall threaten the regions where coffee can grow. Interestingly, coffee has also played a role in science and technology. For example, during the 20th century, research into instant coffee allowed for mass production and storage, making it especially popular among soldiers during World War II. Later, companies developed new techniques, such as freeze-drying, which preserved flavour better than earlier methods. Today, innovations continue, from single-use coffee pods to advanced brewing machines that allow anyone to make cafe-quality drinks at home. Finally, let's not forget coffee's cultural symbolism. In some countries, such as Italy, coffee is deeply woven into daily rituals. Think of the quick morning espresso enjoyed while standing at a bar counter. In the United States, on the other hand, coffee culture emphasizes large takeaway cups, often consumed while rushing to work. Meanwhile, in countries like Ethiopia, coffee ceremonies remain a key part of hospitality, taking hours to prepare and serve, with great attention paid to tradition and community.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 4. That is the end of the listening test. In the IELTS test, you would now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the listening answer sheet.
Well done on completing the exercise. How did you do? Share your score in the comments. If you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. More listening drills are coming your way. Thank you for watching, and good luck on your IELTS test.